How are you doing? This is the BFTAA and More Show. I am your host, Louis George Walker, and so glad to join with you today. Yes, it's another show here at BFTAA and More. This is a project of the Black Family Technology Awareness Association and the WEB Du Bois Learning Center, who came together to form this radio station, KUAW, that stands for Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom. And we are glad to be able to come to you today to bring you a little bit of that knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. So as we get this show started, we've got a few things to go over. We're on at 5 o'clock. We usually run 30 to 45 minutes. So sit back and relax and get ready to enjoy the BFTAA and More show. All right, we'll start off with a little bit of news from the Urban News Network. Just a second here. I will get them up and cooking for us. And we'll get a little bit of today's news.
This is UNN Urban Network News, sponsored by ahintofmoss.com. I'm Alexander Caden. Here's a couple of things happening in the news. The USDA will eliminate aid protections for black farmers, saying that race and gender will no longer be deciding factors when giving out benefits to programs. The WNBA All-Stars wanted to send a clear message to the league at their All-Star game. The ladies wore warm-up shirts that said, "Pay us what you owe us." T-Mobile is the latest company announcing an end to its commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. A federal judge has blocked a key rule that would have removed medical debt from the credit reports of nearly 15 million Americans burdened by the high cost of health care. 13% of black Americans report having medical debt, compared to 8% of white Americans and 3% of Asian Americans. The Washington Post is reporting that Trump's Department of Justice has reportedly launched an effort to gather information on voter rolls in several states ahead of the 2026 midterm elections. A black woman in Florida was jailed last week following a dispute with her homeowners association over a patch of brown grass in her yard. Yeah, brown grass in her yard. Two black cross-country truck drivers have filed a federal lawsuit alleging they were denied service and harassed at a Denny's restaurant in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I can believe that. I've been to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, driving a truck. Ain't nothing out there for black people, for real. You've been listening to UNN Urban Network News, sponsored by ahintofmoss.com, featuring 100% wild-crafted sea moss. That's ahintofmoss.com.
All right. That's a little bit of the Urban Network news, things that are going on around the country. So we hope you're glad that we're able to bring that to you. Now we're going to go into some of the things that are in the news today, and it's a sad note that we heard that Malcolm Jamal Warner drowned yesterday. It was on the 20th, Sunday, in Costa Rica. So Theo Huxtable, a lot of us remember from back in the 90s when that show was really one of the top shows in the nation, The Cosby Show. Theo Huxtable has died. He drowned in Costa Rica. He was 54 years old. So it's um, it's just a passing of time, but really hate to hear that for a man that still had so much to offer the industry that he was in. And he was doing a podcast and working on mental health for in the black community, and just a pretty decent person from all that I know of him. I don't know if he had any skeletons in the closet, but he seemed to be a pretty straightforward guy. And he passed away, and there, I guess more will be on it. It was on CNN and some of the other news shows. So Malcolm Jamal Warner has drowned at the age of 54. He was on the beach or swimming in Costa Rica and got caught in a high tide or one of those swift currents that pulled him down and out. They were able to rescue him, but he was unconscious and ended up being pronounced dead uh, by the paramedics. So that's a sad note to start this show off with, but I wanted to get that out there for everyone. Also, on the brighter side of news, and let me pull this up, that you can catch this. Shareholders, and this is from a press release from a company or an organization called impactivise.org. And they have came out with an article letting you know that shareholders of 30 companies worth over $13 trillion vote overwhelmingly to defeat the anti-DEI proposals at these companies. Yes, yes, yes. This comes out of Eugene, Oregon. It's a press release on Newswire. It says shareholders of 30 major corporations collectively valued at more than $13 trillion have voted overwhelmingly to reject anti-DEI proposals during the 2025 proxy season. So that is the thing that, if you have stock in a company, you get these proxy votes in the mail. I know I get them from some of the stock that I hold in my 401k or my retirement portfolio now. But different proposals come up, and there's groups, shareholder groups, that have been going around wanting to try and get rid of DEI in companies through voting. So sometimes you may need to look at those proxies that you get. I know I do sometimes, just throw them in the trash and get away. Hey, I'm not really voting on it. Don't care who runs the company. But there have been organizations that come together to try and eliminate things through voting. So during this 2025 proxy season, they were delivered a resounding defeat to the conservative activist groups who were seeking to eliminate diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. Shareholder voting, tracked by Impactivise, resulted in a 30-0 perfect record, with most proposals being rejected by margins of 98 to 99%. Companies, including Costco, Apple, MasterCard, a lot of these huge companies, saw shareholders decisively support board recommendations to vote against anti-DEI proposals. CEOs of several companies underscored the business case for DEI during shareholder question and answer sessions. Rob Davis, the CEO of Merrick, told shareholders that diversity and inclusion initiatives are a strategic imperative. Shareholder voting margins send a clear message that investors understand that diversity is good for business, says Nancy Levine, founder of Impactivise. The overwhelming tallies are significant, corporate governance experts told me. So of these 30 companies, some of them were the biggest, are companies that, as part of a minority group, we should look at supporting those companies that vote to keep DEI, as opposed to those that have scrapped their DEI initiatives. And a lot of companies have done that. Some of them without shareholder voting, they just went ahead and got rid of them. But shareholder voting aligns with research showing that DEI's positive business impact. Costco's foot traffic increased since defending DEI policies, and I shop at Costco, while Target's retreat may have hurt their sales. So Target dropped their DEI, about as soon as the election was over with. Nobody had to pressure them. It doesn't seem like they decided to drop theirs, and I haven't been in a Target since then. But Costco defended their policy. Along with Apple, I may have to look at changing my phone. I don't know where Google and the Android people stand. I may have to go over to the Apple side. But Andrew Barr, a CEO of shareholder advocacy group As You Sow, spoke with Impactivise about their large-scale study revealing the business and investor case for diversity as a material factor in financial success. Despite Trump administration claims saying that DEI is illegal, 16 states' attorneys general urged businesses to stand firm, confirming that DEI initiatives remain compliant with federal and state law. DEI isn't illegal, and it's not going anywhere, said Attorney John Hyman, an Impactivise advisory board member. Companies backing away from DEI aren't protecting themselves. they're setting themselves up to fall behind. So that's one of the things that we have to look at is that we have the government and the government agencies who are not private, and they are part of the government. If the chief government officer or the president now want to get rid of some programs, they have a right to do it, but they don't have the right to get rid of DEI programs in private companies. So that's been something that has been happening or trying to force that, upon people. They're trying to force DEI scrapping in anybody that gets contracts from the government to try and use that as a hammer to get them to drop their diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. And that is something that we have to continue to fight against and let companies know that we're with them as they resist the pressure to get rid of DEI. So that is a good news bit today, or just to say that the fight still goes on. We are not in a world that is colorblind at this time, and we have to continue to fight for that. But Costco, Coca-Cola, Apple, their shareholders support having diversity, equity, and inclusion. So that's the thing, is as Costco, Forbes reported that Costco believes a diverse group of employees helps bring originality and creativity to our merchandise offerings, promoting the treasure hunt that our customers value. This underlines how workforce diversity directly fuels the success of Costco's business model. Coca-Cola rejected a proposal from a conservative National Legal and Policy Center to reassess executive pay and DEI hiring goals. Just 1.1 of shareholders backed it, noting the company already reviews these areas regularly. Apple's board also opposed a proposal from the National Center for Public Policy Research to eliminate its inclusion and diversity program entirely. So these organizations or these right-wing groups use names like the National Center for Public Policy Research that sound like it's some legit thing, National Legal and Policy Center, that they want to use to change these rules. So look at some of your proxy mail and start checking out. You may have to get in there and make sure that you vote on some of the things that are coming up before these different companies that we need to help keep diversity, equity, and inclusion working to even out that playing field that we're on. So that's some of the things that are in the news today I wanted to give to you before we go into some things that are not in the news, or kind of in the news. They were in the news around Kansas City and I think the state of Missouri, a few other places, and one I told you about last week because I was gone week before last because of the MR 340, which is the Missouri River 340 race. It's a kayak, canoe, paddle boat, any human-powered floating stand-up paddle boards, anything that you got, bathtubs, to go from Kansas City, or from really Kansas City, Kansas, all the way to St. Louis, Missouri. So it's from Kansas City to St. Louis, Missouri by river, 340 miles. It's an 86-hour longest nonstop river race in the country. And I was participating in that. And I was looking at some of the comments that some people had on one of my friends' pages as he took some pictures and video of us as we were on that river race. And one lady said, I got ready to think that, well, that's not something that Black people do. But then she thought about it and said, yeah, we were explorers from ancient times, from way back. So yes, we do get in the water. Yes, we do explore and do new things and take chances and move forward. And it made me think about a book that I've had here a while, and it's a history book, a research book by Ivan Van Sertima. And this is it. It says, the African presence in ancient America, they came before Columbus. Yeah, this book, if you check with your library, or if you can get it, you might want to check it out. It's a pretty good book that shows historical records and gives a fact that Africans came to America before Columbus. That even maybe part of Columbus's idea about that the world was round, and that there was a not round, but that there was another way to get across the ocean other than down around the coast of Africa, came from the Africans who had told Spanish explorers that there was a land across the ocean, across the Atlantic Ocean. Back when some people thought it was flat in the European area, there was other people that knew that there was a land around there. They weren't proving that the world was round, but they knew that they could sail west from the coast of Africa and bump into another country, another continent, which they had done, and has been proven by some of the artifacts that were found that Africans had made trips, some with as many as 200 ships. A large Mandingo uh, king had traveled across the Atlantic to South America, met with the Indians, traded with the indigenous people there. I won't say they were Indians, but the people there. And some colonies were even established in trade that went from Africa back to South America. So check out the book, They Came Before Columbus, and you can see why we have an urge to do a 340-mile kayak race just to prove that it can be done. So I did that this year. This was my second time at it and didn't quite complete it. But I wanted to show you a little video that comes from my attempts at crossing the state of Missouri by waterway. So let's see if I can bring some of that up for you right now. Got a little bit of video. There it is. That's me getting ready to leave out. Let me start it back at the beginning so we can get you there. All right, 535 racers and 379 boats took off on June the 8th, heading to St. Louis. That was my team. That was the start of the race. It's kind of jammed up when you have hundreds of folks there. My partner and myself, we were.
Yeah, no, the race goes that way. They got stuck. There he is. Woo! You recording. Oh yeah, you're gonna have to paddle it. Come here.
Oh, I gotta turn my mic on, so I've been talking to you. You guys couldn't even hear me. All right. Sorry about that stuff, although I did let you see the video of me running. But yeah, the business that I was talking about was a guy that started a business and ended up making $56,000 a month, and then had to walk away and reassess his life and his work, because that is a lot. But there are a lot of things that you can do in technology, and not just in technology, in life. So we have to be able to look outside the box and be able to do things that others haven't done. The people that, as I had in the book, that came before Columbus, they didn't look at where people had been, but they looked at where we could go, where those Africans could explore and find something new. So that's what we have to do, is look to think outside of the box, to move outside of the box into different arenas, do different things. So me taking on the trip to go across the state of Missouri in a kayak, yeah, it was different. It was hard. I didn't complete it, but I did do 141 miles, and I'll go back and try it again because I'm not defeated. I may have failed at that attempt, but I learned something from that attempt. So this was my second time, and two times I've not made it, but I think the third time will be the charm. So look for me to be out there again next year in the MR 340 race, 340 miles in the kayak across the state of Missouri. Yes, yes, yes. And I think that I will be successful at it. So these are some of the things that we want to pass on to our youth, to have the tenacity and the perseverance to continue to try and to continue to fail, because you're going to fail in life as you move. But failure is just a learning experience, and it sets you up for the next trial and the next success. So all we have to do is just keep trying, keep pushing at it. So I want to tell them that, like they came before Columbus, you can come before the next big discovery. You can be the one that makes the big breakthrough. And that's what we want to do. So I thank you for joining with me. This is the BFTAA and More Show. We want to pray for the family of Michael Jamal Warner, that this loss is a terrible loss for families to go through, especially with somebody that's still in the prime of life at 54 years old, that had so much to offer to television and acting, and to his family and loved ones that will miss him. So we want to definitely do that. We also want to keep supporting those businesses that support us, that support DEI, that support giving everybody a fair chance to level that playing field and move forward. So here at BFTAA and More, we are glad to say that we support diversity, equity, and inclusion. We do not discriminate. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, and that we allow anyone to be a member. We do accept donations. If you want to give to KUAW Radio, go to our website, www.kuaw.org, and you can give directly through our PayPal link on there. Or you can go to Facebook or YouTube and make a donation through the pages there that will come to KUAW and the Black Family Technology Awareness Association. Help keep this information still coming out, and that we can continue to learn and we can continue to grow. We'll be back here again next week on Monday. We're here every Monday from 5 to 5:30, 5:45, depends upon how much information we're trying to share with you. And as new things are coming and new opportunities are open up, I hope that you will continue to listen and support this radio station and support other nonprofits in the community that are doing things. Local nonprofits, a lot of them are small. They don't have the marketing budget to get out and run ads and big things like that, but they're working with volunteers that are truly driven to give back into the community. The W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center is one of those. Give to them. We Code KC, a STEAM Village. There are a lot of groups that are working in education and technology that we need to support. And they need your support. And they need to know that there's people noticing them in the community. So support your local nonprofit organization and the work they are doing to bring education and technology to the community. I want to thank you for joining the BFTAA and More show. We'll be back again next week at 5 o'clock right here, KUAW Radio. Thank you for joining, and we will see you next week.